2 years ago in 2022, our Visionary Award was created to honor Dr. Clifford DeBaptiste's commitment to the community. He was our first award winner, and he has handpicked the award winners since that time. Dr. DeBaptiste celebrated his 100th birthday this past May. And yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, I was there. And that man knows how to throw a party. There were ice cream trucks outside. I don't know, it had to be at least 3 dozen different types of cakes. It was all over the place. But what was more impressive than that was all the people who were lined up. People were milling around in this facility, but there were people lined up all the way out the building on the sidewalk, waiting patiently and happily just to walk up to him and give him a fist bump and say happy birthday. And so his impact in this community, and I've just been in the community since 2016, and one of the first people that I was told that I needed to meet was Dr. Clifford DeBaptiste. And he is a true legacy. And on the day of his birthday, the former mayors bestowed upon him the first ever title of Emeritus Mayor. So this award will now be called the Emeritus Honorable Dr. Clifford E. Baptiste Visionary Award. And so, yeah. The mayor says, that's a mouthful. The Visionary Award, let me tell you, this Visionary Award is bestowed upon community leaders who empower others to be the change they wish to see in the world. These servants of the community are bridge builders across institutions and systems. They are door openers, creating a pathway for the next generation to excel. Visionaries seeing a world where equity and justice create communities where all can prosper and be nourished while feeling safe and free. And I'm honored to be able to stand in this spot to be able to talk a little bit about this award on behalf of Dr. DeBaptiste, because the award will be given by the mayor, Mayor Lillian DeBaptiste, to the Professor Emeritus Dr. C. James Trotman, and to the Honorable Curtis Joyner in honor of his wife, Dr. Mildred Joyner, may she rest in power. And so let me tell you a little bit about this award. Well, I'm going to say why these folks were chosen for this award. In 1995, that light in your eyes, Doc?
I'm okay.
All right. 1995, Dr. Trotman became the founding director of Westchester University's Frederick Douglass Institute. The Institute advances multicultural studies across the curriculum and deepens the intellectual heritage of Frederick Douglass, a former slave, a distinguished orator, a journalist, author, and a statesman in every sense of the word. Dr. Trotman had a dream that he shared with his longtime colleague, Dr. Joyner, a dream of a statue to commemorate Frederick Douglass's frequent visits and his last lecture on the campus of Westchester University in 1895. And Frederick Douglass passed 19 days after his last lecture. Well, Dr. Trotman and Dr. Joyner teamed up together to raise funds to be able to purchase and erect this statue, and their success was celebrated by the unveiling of the statue on the campus of Westchester University. They were a successful, dynamic duo because their passion for justice, because of their unending desire to build bridges between people, and because of their tireless work opening doors. Joyner was the head of the Department of Social Work at Westchester University, and she also served on the board of DNB Bank. She knew how to open the right doors. Through their visionary leadership, through the visionary leadership of Dr. Trotman, there are now Frederick Douglass Institutes on all of the Pennsylvania State University campuses, the FDI Collaborative. And this, my friends, is quite an accomplishment. And now, yes. And now I would like to invite to the microphone the Honorable Mayor, Mayor Lillian DeBaptiste, to say a few words and present the awards on behalf of your dad, Dr. Clifford E. DeBaptiste. Emeritus.
Good evening, everyone. What?
She's good.
I'm taller. Didn't want me to touch the mic, huh? I'm sorry.
It's George.
Yeah. I'm taller than y'all. What can I say? It is an honor to stand here for my father, Dr. Clifford E. DeBaptiste, and present this award. Boy, I don't know about you, but it's felt really emotional seeing the Erickson family up here and talking and seeing my friend Joyner on the screen, and just hearing the wonderful stories of power that each of you bring into this room has been just an emotional evening for me. But I am pleased to present this award because when Dr. Trotman and Dr. Joyner, as she was lovingly called, Mitt, everyone knew her as Mitt, even though her name was Mildred, came to my dad with their idea. It was like a 1-2 punch. He didn't realize it, but he was dead in the water. He was gone. Yeah. And whatever they said that they wanted, he was like, here you go. And that's probably the first time and the last time that's ever happened in the 100-year history of his life. But the power that the two of them bring, it reminds me of, in Dr. Trotman's own words, what he said during the bicentennial, because he was part of that. He was second vice president, so he's given to this community for many years during the bicentennial years. And he came up with the theme when he said, celebrating our past and building our future. And that's what he and Mitt have always done. And that's what the Frederick Douglass statue represents, because by putting that statue there, they really were visionaries, because they did celebrate the past that is Westchester's for all of us to enjoy, and yet they're building on the future. Because I cannot tell you how many students, when I'm on campus, go there and they have a moment of solitude, or they meditate, or they just hang out with their friends. And it's a place where people, and they're sitting on benches that are benches in memory of ancestors that have gone on, my ancestors, the colored troop ancestors, different families' ancestors. So they sit on these benches, these young children. To me, they're children, they're 19 and 20, but they're still carving a way for their future. And they're thinking about who they want to be, what their future will look like as they sit on these benches that represent the past. And even though my father has always been such a visionary in all his life, sometimes I think his hand, God's hand, is just right on his shoulder and his hand is right in God's, because he always does everything with prayer first. And that's how he leads, with prayer and humanity, and seeing the humanity in each and every one of us. And because of that vision, he captured and saw their vision. And I don't know, but I think they did, because Mitt was pretty smart. I mean, Curtis might be the retired judge, but Mitt was the brains. I know. She was the brains and the power, and yes.
You thought I was bad.
Yeah. The federal Judge Joyner, but he knew where his bread was buttered. And so does Dr. Trotman, because Miss Anita Trotman here is no joke. She keeps him on track. So that goes to my point. They were visionaries. because they had a sense of the destiny that this statue would bring not only to the university, but to all those who stop by, if only for a moment. And for that, I know that I'm very proud, I'm very grateful. And when I go by and see those listed community members that collaborated and saw the vision also, it feels very embracing because they came from all parts of the county to be a part of the statue. It just didn't come from this pocket or this pocket. It came from the entire community. And for that, I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for the vision of Miss Joyner. When you look at that photo of her, you can feel the power. Can't you? Was that just me?
No, that's you.
Yeah, can you feel the power? Yeah. And as I walked in the room and looked up and saw that picture, I just could feel the power.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear a few words from the Honorable Curtis Joyner.
Now, he's good, but...
Good evening. For those that do not know me, from the brief introduction by Lillian, Mayor DeBaptiste Hall.
That's right.
I was a common police court judge in Chester County back in '92, and I spent about 5 years there, and I was appointed by President Herbert Walker Bush to sit in the federal court in Philadelphia. And although my wife had a lot to do with that, I kind of earned that also, okay? I retired as a former chief judge of that court, the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. But I had the intelligence and the knowledge and the wherewithal to marry that woman. My wife, Miss Joyner, was a force. And I say that most respectfully because she was a force in my family's life. She was a force at Westchester University. She started as a professor, became the chair of the department, then expanded the department to include a master's degree in social work at Westchester. But she was involved as a social worker to help people. And she was always giving and always participating, like much or many of you out there, contributing your efforts and your monies to help others that are in our community in Chester County. My wife would give me orders like I worked for her, and I sometimes believe I did. But she also was involved in being on the board of D&B Bank. And she brought that giving, that social work attitude to D&B Bank, and they made contributions, they participated in the community of Chester County. She was on the board of the food bank. Now, she didn't have to be on the board of the food bank, but she did because she wanted to serve. And she continued to serve up to her death. But I thank the Honorable Clifford E. DeBaptiste for this recognition of my wife, because as Lillian said, when you saw her coming, watch out. Put your hands on your pocket because she's coming. And Mr. DeBaptiste would tell me, Kurt, keep your wife away from me because she's going to get more money from me. She had that, come on, Mr. DeBaptiste. She would give you a reason. And it wasn't just Mr. DeBaptiste, as the monument indicates, but on behalf of the family, my daughters and grandsons, I want to thank Mr. DeBaptiste most sincerely. As you heard, when I first came to Chester County, my wife is a native of Chester County, born and raised here in Chester County. born in Chester County Hospital, grew up in Kennett Square, didn't move to Westchester. I'm from Camden, New Jersey, a far cry from Chester County. But when I came here as a young assistant DA working in the district attorney's office, and I see one of my co-members, Tony Morris, we worked in the DA's office together way back in the dark ages. But I heard that you have to meet Mr. DeBaptiste when you came to Chester County, and I met him. And he was my mentor. I thank him to this day for all he's contributed to me and my family. So again, thank you, and thank you, Dad.
Thank you. And next to the podium will be Dr. C. James Trotman. The mayor, honorable mayor, will present him with his visionary award, and we'll hear a few words from Dr. Trotman.
I don't think I have to move the microphone, do I?
No, please do not.
Okay. And I know I'm under a time constraint, but you're talking about a university professor who has a built-in clock that I shall suppress for the benefit of your stomachs, because I know you're hungry. Anyway, to my loving wife of 55 years, I knew that this generous audience would want to applaud for her. You can do it again if you want to. To my oldest son who is here and other members of my family, to my fraternity brothers, and my Greek sisters, my neighbors, my church members, I am a man of faith, to my campus colleagues, and of course to the administration that permitted me and Dr. Mitt Joyner to enter into this enterprise. We are very grateful, and I hope you'll understand that when I speak about the Douglas enterprise at Westchester, Mitt is standing right next to me. If you need to stretch your imagination, you can pretend that Mayor Lillian is Mitt for the moment. The development took place under 5 presidents at Westchester University. Dr. Perrin, Dr. Adler, Dr. Weisenstein, Dr. Ferrantino, and our current president, Dr. Bernatsky. Most of all, I think it's important for me to tell you how grateful I am to Mayor Emeritus Clifford E. DeBaptiste. The most important thing that I can tell you about him is not his political career, but his career as a public servant, serving you and so many others that you may never see. But their lives have been changed because of the Honorable Clifford E. DeBaptiste. He preceded, in many ways, what is happening here tonight, and my relationship with him has given me a touch of eternity, because Dr. DeBaptiste is a man who not only is prayerful, but he also looks to the source of our own destinies. And he has found through prayer the destiny that would enable him to do what he has done at Westchester and in the community and in fact, in the nation. I want to call the ending comments, paragraphs, if you will, not paragraphs in plural, but paragraphs singularly. I want to call your attention to two themes that have emerged from my life in the Douglas enterprise. The first is brains. You all have them. But the combination of brains and bravery is the way I have been able to put together something meaningful to say in this moment. The first thing I want to point out to you is that Frederick Douglass belongs to Westchester, but his life and legacy belong to the world. The people of Ireland this year in Belfast just dedicated a statue to Mr. Douglass. Not only because he was there, Douglass was very mercurial. He was all over the place. But because they respected what he had to say about his freedom and their freedom when he was there in 1847, 1848. What I want you to understand about all of this is that if you have not seen the statue, let me encourage you to do so with your families, friends, relatives, people who stop in to see you in beautiful Chester County, but also because Douglass is more than just a classy speaker. He was more than just a slave. He was somebody who was touched by the glory. And by that glory, I mean he was someone who was anointed to serve not just the United States, which he did so well, but to serve the world. I think it's also important for you to remember that Douglass, for his own generation, came to the DeBaptiste family through this vehicle of prophecy. And by prophecy, I'm talking about a deeper insight than any of us can begin to imagine, because it comes from the unseen, the invisible, but the tangibility of our sovereign. And what the DeBaptiste family has done both is a motion of spiraling momentum for acts of generosity, but they also call upon you, as I call upon you, to be brave and to be bold about your gifts. Because being brave is what distinguishes not only the Honorable DeBaptiste and Frederick Douglass, but it is a way of enriching our own lives. The braver we are in servicing our community, the braver we are within ourselves and in helping those who can't help themselves. Finally, I want to make it very clear that the message to you tonight is to use this moment as an opportunity to do what Mr. Douglass loved to do, and I know Dr. DeBaptiste feels the same way. Meditate on where you can be brave in areas in which you have not been brave. And all of us can do that. It can be a gift of philanthropy. It can be reaching out to a student who needs help, or a family that has been devastated in one way or another. But in all of these things, please know that one of the riches of Chester County is our legacy of giving and serving. And the DeBaptiste-Douglas relationship is a wonderful example for us to follow. Thank you very much.